Last Friday, what happened was the White House became aware of research that Amazon had done. It is not unreasonable for Amazon to do this work, right? So Amazon hosts Anthropic's models in what they call Bedrock. This includes in all of the classified spaces. So if the NSA is using Anthropic's models, it is running in AWS secret cloud or top secret cloud. And so Amazon is doing security testing. I expect this was part of getting ready to host Fable and Bedrock, and found some things that they wanted to complain about with Fable's protections that make Fable different than Mythos. I guess we can talk about the exact ones. Amazon had sent over these results to Anthropic. There was some disagreement between Anthropic and Amazon during the week of how serious they were. Now, I don't have the exact details here, but somehow, apparently, Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, mentions this to somebody at the White House, and the White House freaks out and, according to reporting, calls Anthropic and is not happy with how quickly they can get Anthropic on the phone. Anthropic is asking for more technical details. They're not able to get details from the White House of what the White House wants, so the White House orders them to take Fable down. Anthropic says, no, we can just fix these issues. Why don't we work it out together? And as a result, instead of working out together on Friday afternoon, something around 5 p.m. Pacific time, the Commerce Department signs an order saying that the models are designated export controlled and that no foreigner, including the foreign citizens who worked and actually built the models themselves, can touch them. Whether or not the administration actually has that legal power is disputed, but Anthropic decides to actually follow through instead of immediately getting a temporary restraining order, and because they have no ability to make sure that no foreign citizen is seeing the models, actually pulls them down. Both Mythos, which was privately accessible, as well as Fable, which was publicly available.
So when we talk about is Mythos material or is Mythos marketing, my argument would be like, if something was material, it would look a lot like what we're seeing today, right? Like at a certain point, these models are increasing in capabilities. You're gonna wanna put some safeguards on them. Yes. And so is what Anthropic is doing that different from like where you'd wanna be if you actually had these concerns?
I mean, I think both Anthropic and OpenAI have a path in which they have like a KYC model. Now,
know your customer?
Know your customer, yeah. So OpenAI actually has couple levels. They have a public one where you can basically say, I want access to cyber capabilities, and then they have a private one. I believe Anthropic only has the private one, right, to get access to Mythos. But I do think it's reasonable to have some level of gating, but in the case of Glasswing, I think it was honestly, I thought it was not widespread enough. I know of like critical infrastructure companies that don't have access to Mythos right now.
Nobody does right now.
Well, no, right now, okay, but before last week.
Right.
Like people who should have had access did not have access. Now, seeing what happened here, you can see why they were so careful. But from my perspective, as defenders, we are in a race against time, right? We have all of these bugs that need to be fixed. And we also have this weird thing where we're like, this whole conversation is predicated on the idea that like the American labs are years ahead of our adversaries. And that is just not true, right? So while Fable was shut down, on Tuesday of this week, GLM 5.2 was shipped, right, from Z.AI, which is a Chinese lab. This is an open weight model. It is MIT licensed. So any of you can go not just download the weights from Hugging Face, but you can include it in your own product and you can retrain it. It is within percentage points of the top closed models from Anthropic and OpenAI in a bunch of things, a bunch of evals. We don't know how good it is at bug finding yet, so there hasn't been any good testing here. But in coding and a bunch of other intelligence tasks, it's almost as good as the best the United States has. And that's the best Chinese model we know about, right? Unlike American labs, the Chinese are not going to announce their Mythos, right? And so the idea that we should be doing everything in the United States to just be playing defense we're playing like a defensive model here. That is stupid from my perspective. We need to be accelerating our capability to do these things and not just playing defense.
Well, now I am sufficiently scared, even though I've thought that the Mythos was pure marketing, but what do we do about it? Like, how do we, what is that, like, and I think I share that Glasswing again, why it felt like marketing to me. It was this kind of exclusive club that people were invited to, and I actually spoke with people who are using it, and they spoke about it almost like it was a club. Like, oh yeah, we got access to Mythos, we're spending a ton of money. Like, I think, what should it look like, this kind of rollout, to actually
When they get
help us? Yeah.
in Glasswing, I mean, they're fixing real bugs. They have found like 10,000 bugs. Now, one of the problems with Glasswing is they've found like 10,000 bugs, but they've only fixed 1,000, right? So like, you do not want a 10-to-1 ratio of the bugs you found to fixed. We just joined a thing called Project Athena, which ChainGuard is running, which is all about fixing specifically open source bugs, right? So Glasswing a lot of that is closed source with inside commercial companies. We are part of this coalition that is using Mythos to fix open source bugs, which is a huge challenge because like just finding the people who have access to that source code, commit access is difficult. So that's going to be a huge push. So it's not like just totally BS. I do think that one of the things that's going on here is that if these companies ran any modern AI security tool against their code base, they'd find 80% of those bugs. They don't have to use Mythos, right?
Okay.
So it's just that they've never looked, right? They're like,
That's concerning.
yeah, right. And so they're like, oh yeah, I've got this old crappy code, and they look for the first time, and all of a sudden they find.
And they could have done it a year ago or 6 months ago and found some number or some percentage.
I had this conversation with the CEO this morning, who's like, "How do I get into Mythos, Alex?
Like,
who can you
just
call?"
start. Yeah.
And I said, "Don't wait. Here you go. Here's an API key for Opus right now.
Yeah.
It works today. Because do not wait for the Trump administration to figure out what they're doing with Mythos. Use Opus 4.8 right now, and I guarantee you'll get 70% of the bugs you care about."
Alex, you're a security researcher. One of the stipulations about getting Fable back. So, by the way, Anthropic has said they expect Fable to come back on soon. But one of the stipulations that's been talked about to do that is that they have to prevent it from being able to be jailbroken. Is that possible?
Yeah,
No.
I saw you did jailbreak in air quotes.
Yeah, no.
So we have 2 minutes left. So talk a little bit about why that's not possible.
No, there's actually a paper from NIST. It's like a kind of a Gödel completeness theorem kind of paper that basically says it's impossible to make a model that is completely not jailbreakable. Like I said, Fable needs to be able to understand what security flaws are to be able to do its job. I think what Anthropic might, the game they might be playing here is redefine what jailbreak is back to what their system card says. So their system card says, we define different levels of cyber capability, and finding a couple of bugs and knowing what a bug is okay, but we won't let you like build exploit chains and do lots of long-term stuff. And so if they can define back to their system card what a jailbreak is, then they're fine, right? What would be terrible for the entire American AI and cybersecurity industries is if the Trump administration defines a jailbreak as having any ability to find any vulnerability in code, because then all of us have to go to Chinese models. That's it, yes. That would be a terrible, terrible outcome. And that might happen because, unfortunately, the news that broke just in the last couple hours is Politico is reporting that Anthropic and the Trump administration are negotiating what the AI safety standards should be. So, I don't know, it's like Howard Lutnick writing an eval right now. I find that a little terrifying. So, I am hoping that Anthropic, obviously there's very smart people at Anthropic working on this. I am hoping that they are able to come up with something reasonable that moves stuff towards exploitation, not bug finding. We have to have the ability as defenders to find and fix flaws. The other thing I just want, because we don't have a lot of time, the other real own goal here was that this injected a type of political instability and political risk into the US AI industry that did not exist. There are a bunch of companies that are now going to have to use open weight models because at any time on a Friday afternoon, it's a good thing that Fable is only out for a week because people didn't have time to work into their critical path. But if Fable had been out for a month and at 5 p.m. on a Friday, all of a sudden it got yanked, then pagers across the country would have gone off because everybody's systems would have fallen over. And so now, this week, CIOs and CTOs are signing contracts to have open weight models on different hosts, on US hosts. They're not using Chinese hosts, but they're using Chinese models as backups through LLM routers because political risk is now a risk of using AI companies. That is a massive own goal. The United States of America does not need to do that. We should not do that again. That is incredibly stupid at a moment of maximum pressure from the People's Republic of China. And so I can't stress enough, we lost a war this weekend. Let's not lose another war by making it unreliable to utilize the United States for AI.
Alex, will you come on the show for a longer conversation
Absolutely,
about
I'd love
this?
to. Yeah.
Alex Stamos and Ron John Roy.
Thank you.
Thank you.